Hello everybody and welcome to this video. So this video is the last video in the series of videos that explains how to conduct a statistical investigation for the year 8 students. Okay, in the last video, video 6, I explained what to do with a sample that you collected. So you have to organize it in a frequency table and graph it. Now that you have the graph for your full data and the graph for your sample, you can bring them side by side for comparison. Okay, we need to compare the distribution. So I have my own here. The top one is the full data graph, which is called the population graph, and the bottom graph is the sample graph. Okay, so to compare, we compare things like the most popular. Remember, the graph is about which is the most popular, and then we compare the least popular. We compare category coverage, relative spread, and shape or skewness. Okay, so with the most popular for the top graph, rugby is the most popular with a frequency of 6. And because there is no other type of sport that has that same frequency, it is unimodal. For the bottom graph, which is the sample graph, rugby also is the most popular with a frequency of 2. And again, there is no other type of sport that has that number of frequency, and so it is unimodal. What does this mean? So this means that in both graphs, rugby is the peak. Both graphs have the same peak. Now looking at the least popular for the top graph consists of the soccer and basketball. So both category of sports has a frequency of 1. Okay, and in the bottom graph, which is a sample graph, the least popular is basketball. Basketball has 0 frequency and other has 0 frequency. Okay, so what does this mean? So this means that the sample graph misses out on the basketball and other category, which usually happens because if a sample is small, you might not be able to collect data from people who would choose those category as their favorite. Okay, so that's what happens when your sample size is small, and that is the reason why if you're going to choose a sample size, you make it big. Okay, now looking at the category coverage, in the top graph, every type of sport has a selection. Okay, so every type of sport there, soccer, basketball, rugby, swimming, and other, they have somebody selecting them as their favorite. So they are, or every category there are properly covered. In the bottom one, basketball and other misses out. So that means that 3 out of 5 are covered and 2 are not. So again, that is because of the sample size. Now we look at the relative spread. The relative spread of the population graph shows that rugby, obviously with the highest frequency, is higher than other, and other with a frequency of 4 is higher than swimming. Swimming with a frequency of 3 is higher than soccer and basketball, both of which has a frequency of 1. Now looking at the bottom one has rugby as the highest frequency, which is greater than soccer, and soccer and swimming has the same frequency of 1. And they in turn is greater than basketball and other, which has a frequency of 0. Now, what does this mean? So this means that both graphs show a clear dominance of rugby. So rugby dominated the favorite amongst the students in the top category and also in the sample category. Now we look at the shape. So with this shape, we're looking at, is this skewed or is this symmetrical? So to describe it properly, we draw a line on the bars, okay? So now that we have the line there, you can see that the highest frequency are on the right hand side and the tail. The tail is where the lowest frequency is. So the lowest frequency is on the right. And because of that, we say the population graph is negatively skewed. Okay, it's negatively skewed. Now we look at the bottom one. The bottom one, the highest frequency, rugby, soccer, and swimming. Soccer is towards the left, and if you draw the line, you see that the tail is towards the right. Okay, the tail is on others, which is on the right hand side. So because of that, we describe the distribution as positively skewed. All right, so what does this mean? This means that the population graph and the sample graph do not have the same pattern. Okay, they do not have the same pattern, and again, that is usually because the sample graph misses out on some categories, or the sample graph is too small to properly represent the full collection of data. Okay, so that is the end of the description for your graphs, or the comparison for your graph. So I hope this will help you do your own comparison in your own assignment. So if you have a question, make sure you're asking your teacher. And again, this is for categorical data. In my next video, I'm going to show how to compare the distribution for the numerical data. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.